So I've been making content and videos for my clients for so many years on a consistent basis, pretty much not skipping any single month. But when it comes down to creating content for myself, I just really seem unable to do it. And it's something I've struggled with for so many years, pretty much all my life that I have been making content, which is around 9 years already. And it's just reached that point where, man, I no longer want to identify as someone who is inconsistent with his own content, right? And I knew something needed to change. And I have been going through this for a couple years already, I think, probably a little longer, really being aware of it and conscious about it. And so I knew I needed to do something. So a couple months, 3 months ago, I think, I started reading The Artist's Way. I thought, this book would really help me, get the inner artist out and get things going. And to be completely fair, I think it's an exceptional book. I'm definitely gonna give it another try in a few months. Just at the time I started it, I think it, for me, was a little bit overwhelming in terms of the amount of exercises and time I had to put into completing everything and getting things going. And so I was just in a moment in my life where, lots of things had happened. And I think I just needed something lighter, something that at least would get me starting. And at the end, I finally ended up with reading The War of Art by Pressfield. And I must say, highly, highly recommend this book. Can't stress it enough. It's exceptionally good. If you're feeling really stuck, if you have a passion for something and you love doing it, you've lost a little bit of that spark, but also you just can't find yourself, sitting down to do it and really going through it. You want to do it, but you're not really doing it. I think this book is going to come in at the right time for you as well. And this is what I wanted to talk about in this video a little bit. Some of the concepts that I've read in this book, which I just finished this morning. And I just wanted to start off YouTube again, talking about this, just putting some raw thoughts out. And hopefully they help you as much as they have helped me as well. And I will talk about my personal experience on this. So, as I told you, I started this book at the beginning of June. It's a book that you'll read very, very easily. It probably takes 3 to 4 hours. Don't know. It's just taken me 2 weeks to read it. And so I have a few notes here that I want to share with you. But yeah, first of all, I initially thought that my main problem was motivation. It was always motivation, right? So, I would look at other people and other content creators in the industry, and I was always feeling like, man, how do they have this burning desire inside of them that keeps them going and keeps them putting out content? And, I looked at things and I was like, man, I can do this for my clients as they're paying me, but for myself, I'm just unable to do it. How's that possible? And I just couldn't really find the reason why I would keep pushing and putting content out. And after reading this book, I've come to the conclusion that, it was never about motivation. Motivation goes up and goes down. I knew about this already, but it was like, if I was just a little bit more motivated, right, I would probably do things. And so even when I was highly motivated, I would not do it. I would just start being hyped up and excited about, I'm going to do it this way and I'm going to think about that idea. Oh, I can make a YouTube video about this. I will start drafting some ideas, but I would never sit down and start developing that idea or even start recording something or editing that clip that I had been piling up in my SSD for God knows how long. So it felt a lot like that. I also thought initially it was about gear, right? Lots of excuses. So, I will start shooting content when I have that tripod and I have that camera that has that autofocus, or I have those filters so I can shoot outdoors and have a better microphone that is going to capture the voice, blah, blah, blah. It was just a lot of excuses when there's a lot of people out there that they're just shooting out of thin air. They're just making content with their phone, with whatever they have in their hands. And especially that was true for me when, I reached a point where I managed to get all this gear, tripods, cameras, filters, monitors, microphones, whatever I needed. And then the thing or the excuse was, it's just too much gear. It's too difficult to set things up, and I'm gonna overproduce everything. So I'm just gonna make it so complicated. I'm not even gonna do the video. And when I read this book, The War of Art, it was just so obvious. And the concept that is most important in this book is the concept of resistance. It's really fucking insane. Resistance, Stephen Pressfield treats it as this thief. It's really a thief, right? Resistance shows up in many different ways. It shows up as excuses you put yourself, and you say to yourself, like, I'm tired, I'm not going to wake up today to do the exercise. Not the best light that I could get right now, so I'm not going to record that video today. I'm going to probably wait a couple more days. It's not the best moment right now to start scripting this, or I first need to figure out what my personal brand colors will be so I can start, thinking about the titles and thinking about the thumbnail designs and all those things. And all of those are excuses, and it's usually what I would find myself a lot into. Not only this, but fear. Stephen Pressfield also talks about resistance showing up as fear, and this was also one of the most truthful aspects of it, for me at least. Fear, fear in the sense not of fear of dying, but fear of failing, fear of finding yourself alone, fear of changing and becoming a person, growing as a different person, and finding myself alone, finding that maybe my family, my friends, my peers would not want to be around me, or would not accept the person I'm trying to become, or I'm working myself on. Now, another great concept that pops up in the book is the difference between ego and the self, as these two sides of the psyche Stephen Pressfield talks about. And I think it was Carl Jung, the one who introduced those two concepts. And, ego, I've been definitely battling against ego for so long, and I still have a lot of progress to make, but it's definitely something I can clearly see that, ego is this part of the psyche that's living in the material world, that is constantly comparing, that it's constantly fighting for attention, and that is killing this artist within because it's so afraid to being hurt, to being judged by others. And I think all of us, when we're showing up this, ego is necessary as well as a part of a psyche to survive in this world. But, it's the self, the other side of the psyche, that it's interconnected, that is not that material, that is not always thinking about time and space in the same way. It's kind of more universal, maybe. And it pushes to evolve, it pushes to grow, and it's not that scared. It's not scared at all to be judged by others and to be, it's about creating something that comes from within and showing up to the world. And, we're all interconnected, and it's okay. And I think ego, to me, when it comes to comparison, it does a lot of damage. Another two concepts that Stephen Pressfield talks about in this book, which I found really interesting, is our territory, our hierarchy, and territory. And these two, hierarchy is something we as a society have agreed upon. Hierarchies exist in high school, in school, in any job you're in your hometown, in, the local association of whatever it is. There's always some sort of hierarchy. Everyone knows their place. We all know who's the underdog, who's the top dog. We know whose job is which, and we all know our place. But when it comes to, way bigger places, a lot bigger cities, and we can't recognize all the faces, we can't recognize our place in that society, then we get all lost. And that really hurts ego because we feel like pretty meaningless and we don't have a sense of hierarchy right there. And so I think this is where we want to be more aware of the territory, not so much of hierarchy. And as Stephen Pressfield talks about it, it's like when we create, when we do stuff, when we show our artists, when we do our art, we want to lean into our territory, not do things out of hierarchy, not do things out of roles, out of thinking about what other people will say, talk, or expect from it. But it comes from within and it comes through our territory. You know, what's our natural place? What's our best environment? And we just take the reps there. And this ultimately concluded to me as one question that broke me to the ground and that got me thinking so much. And it's towards the end of the book. And the question goes something like, you know, if you were the last person on planet Earth, what is it that you would still be doing? Or would you still be doing it? And this completely broke me. You know, in the book, he talks about this example of Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, he says that if he was alone in the planet, he would still go to the gym and grind his ass off, right? And so I was trying to think for myself and ask myself, what is it that I would still be doing if no one else was watching, if no one else was in the planet? You know, of course, it gets to a point of if I'm helping people create organic content for their social media, or I'm helping founders create their personal brand, if no one else was there, I couldn't really help them, right? So it's not specifically that I would be doing. But then it got me thinking, you know, what are some of the things or hobbies or aspects of my life that I would still keep that are somehow interconnected to my inner artist and the art I produce. And so something I thought of was, you know, when we usually go out on trips, on vacations with my friends or my family, I always take the camera with me, right? I rig it up, I get the monitor on right now, and I just like to go out and do this kind of observational practice of just capturing moments that I see. You know, those might be expressions, it might be food, it might be just a beautiful landscape, the nature moving, maybe it's the water, the waves on the sea, maybe it's some leaves moving around with a light breeze, someone walking, interesting faces I see on the streets, and some nice shadows and beautiful light rays. It's just things I like capturing, and I love how they look cinematic. And I find beauty in this. I find beauty in being silent, being there, present, connected with it, and just through the exercise of observing. But also at the same time, I found out that I usually come back home from those trips and just start piling up files and files into SSDs and hard drives. I never really edit those. I never really, you know, put something up together and publish. And again, it comes back to the loop of what will others think about me? What will they comment? How will I be perceived? I'm not good enough. It's all those sort of things, you know, fear of failure, fear of how others will judge me. And I think this is the aspect where ego is speaking and not the self, that this interconnection of beautifully sharing things that other people might enjoy as well. And so this is something that has left me thinking, and I had to put a stop into it and, you know, just switch things up. And this book, again, highly, highly recommended. I can't stress this enough. If you really find yourself stuck in this loop of resistance, in you know, as Chris Williamson has said in some podcasts, I recall these few sentences of, you know, thinking about doing the thing is not doing the thing, saying that you will do the thing is not doing the thing, preparing to do the thing is not doing the thing, dreaming about how you'll do the thing is not doing the thing. Whatever those sentences were, at the end of the day, doing the thing is what matters. So just do it. It's about sitting down. It's about pushing through that resistance and doing it. And I can definitely see the beauty of, you know, just pushing through it. It's just about sitting down, through that resistance and getting things moving. I'm recently doing this analogy of me riding a bicycle, or of I'm recently doing this analogy of riding a bicycle, where, you know, if you jump on a bicycle and you're not really moving, doesn't matter how much you steer, chances are you'll likely fall off the bike unless you have insane balance. So what you want to do is at least get the bike moving a little bit, get some, you know, inertia. And after that, you can start, you know, steering the wheels, and you can start getting clearer vision of the world as well. And you can start really getting some speed. And so I think everything comes down to that. It's about just sitting down and start doing, getting some inertia, and then everything will follow. And not just staying there waiting for the clarity to come, or waiting for some sort of God knows what miracle has to come to get things done. And so yeah, that was kind of the video. I just wanted to put some raw thoughts out, and hopefully this helps you as much as it has helped me. And hopefully as well, I can keep things pushing on YouTube, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. So take care. Bye bye.